Here's an interesting one, guys, girls. I was looking on eBay and I've seen socket AM4 motherboard, gaming board, really, but the small, like the Micro ATX one. And somebody's got it on there. It's not expensive, and the reason why is because this end of the PCIe 16 way is melted, basically burnt. And the reason that's happened is because this will have had like a short circuit motherboard, graphics card plugged in, or something short circuit. And at this end of the PCIe, you get 3.3 volts and 12 volts to power, as I've shown you on some GPUs if you've watched some of the other videos. And it's all burnt up. There's another one, and the guy says, I'm sure it probably works, but you'll have to use that slot. I thought, well, yeah, maybe it does work. And the 12 volts and the 3.3 volts might come from a regulator on a board, or they might come over here. So I thought, well, if I get that board off there, as spares or repair, maybe I can replace the socket, the PCIe socket, yeah. And I've had a look on AliExpress and a couple other places, Mouser and whatever. They sell these sockets. You know, if you sell them, you must be able to change them. So hopefully for Windy Auction, I'll know later today, that's coming. And I thought, well, you're thinking, what's this? I want you, what's this? Well, this is scrap motherboard. It's got a fault on it, which in the end turns out to be the North Bridge as a short circuit, and it's not really worth repairing, to be honest. It's repairable, but not really worth the effort of repairing. So, and I've also got, by the way, a use for some of these capacitors here as well, for another repair job. So I think we can use this as a donor, and there's an experiment. So I thought, well, let's see if I can get a PCIe socket off this board without really damaging the board. It occurs to me there's two ways to do that, I think. One's going to be effectively to heat this up to the point whereby the socket comes off the board, yeah? That'd be one way. The other way, which might be kinder to the board, would be to cut all the legs off, or somehow get all the plastic off, and then remove all these pins individually, because by doing that we're not going to damage the board. So I'm wondering now which is the best way to go about it, and I think the first thing we'll try to do is see if we can actually break the plastic away from this socket, and by doing so remove all the pins individually. And if we can't do that, then let's try and desolder the whole thing and see if it'll come off. And let's see what happens. So first of all, let's have a look. I've never done this before. It's completely new to me, this one. Let's see if we can actually break up the original socket. Try a few tools. I'm not sure I'd be best to do that. These old pair of wire cutters that are blunt. Yeah, okay. So I've got an old pair of snips that are blunt, that are no good. They slightly out of line. They twist a bit. Some needle nose pliers. I've got one of my favourite little tools. I've got a screwdriver. And the first thing I think I'm going to do is have a look to see how strong these sockets are. I don't know whether obviously they're plastic. They seem to flex. Maybe this is a good way, you know. Let's see if we can actually get this plastic to effectively break up and get to all the pins. Because I'm sure if we can do this, the pins are going to come out quite easily. Let's see. Maybe. I think all I'm doing is making a mess here, but let's have a look, see if we can actually get the plastic to come away from the the pins. But I'm trying to break it up into little bits, see if I can actually get any of it. Ah, okay. That sounded a bit promising, didn't it? I'm assuming that this end isn't soldered to anything, so this should just literally come off. This might look brutal, but this is probably the way to do this in the way that's kindest to the board, that effectively doesn't damage it. Because if we can get this off without causing any damage, that's what a pin stuck in it, I can see. If we can get this off without causing any damage to the board, putting the new one in isn't going to be difficult. You know, once we've cleaned all the holes out, it should go quite nicely. That's actually stuck there by a couple of pins. But what I don't want to do is be ripping the pins out of the board. Let's have a look. We'll do this end first and see if we can get this end without ripping pins out. We'll do the rest. If not, we'll try and unsolder the remains of it and see what we have. So again, I just want to try and be gentle with this. That appears to be held on by just one pin, to be quite honest, in the bottom end. So let's see if we can get that off, and then we'll have a look to see what the rest of it's going to do. Usual technique, I guess. Flux, solder. This is the end we're trying to free up, and it's something's holding this on this inside end here. So let's have a look to see if we can do it this way. Get a nice blob of solder in there. Plenty of heat into it. Let's grab hold of the thing. Let me just see if I can actually. Yeah, well, that came out. That came out clean. Pins, 2 pins. Probably can't easily see them. 2 pins came with it. I think it's too big to get onto the microscope to show you this. That came off. So let's see effectively what we have now. We have a piece of plastic with lots and lots of pins attached to it. Can we maybe cutting the top edge off it? I wouldn't try this with a decent pair cutters, by the way. These are old. They effectively scrap themselves, really. So I keep them for this, you know, anything like this where I don't really care too much about the tool. Yeah, okay. From what I can see so far, the plastic doesn't really want to give it up. You know, it's like attached to the pins. It's like they're running through it, and it doesn't seem to be too inclined to actually come away from the board. Okay. Oops, sorry, banging my head on the thing. Okay, no, maybe we could. This will work if we now effectively try to remove this piece here, which is sort of towards this end. Can we do this? Let's have a look. See if this will help us at all. So again, I think we're gonna have to get a large amount of solder onto here. If this doesn't work, maybe we'll try using hot air and effectively melt the socket. It's going to smell lovely, but maybe if we do that, that will give us some way to remove this without damaging the board. I'm just getting my cutters. Oh, there we go. That came away easily without any. Yeah, that came away easily and left a lot of pins sticking in the board, which is what I want. Well, maybe we have a technique here then, so let's keep going. Up this side, I'm just cutting it into little sections. Because when you're trying to unsolder something with so many pins from the board, you have to get so much heat into the job. It wouldn't be surprised that you're going to damage something or overheat the board itself. I mean, maybe with I mean, you can't get this on the rework station. It wouldn't, you know, it does not fit. It's not the right shape. And maybe a preheater and hot air might remove this. But so far, we seem to be doing rather well with this rather brutal technique. Come a little bit closer. A little bit closer down here, so you can see what I'm doing. That's most of the way down that side. I wonder if I get some hot air as well Maybe I can pull some of these pieces just to get them off there. If you can see, they kind of like cut, not all the way through. Let's try that as well. Let's see if that gets us anywhere. Otherwise, we'll carry on with what we just did. But you know, this is an experiment. This is to find out good ways to do this. So let's also try this. So we've actually heat up the plastic and hope it kind of softens to the point where it'll just come off. Can't smell anything burning yet, that's a good sign. Getting hot. No, that doesn't seem to be getting us very far. Okay, let's kind of go back to what we did before. So let's kind of see if we can. Yeah, and it does smell of plastic now. Not very pleasant. Let's go back to this method. So it's kind of like, first of all, get a good amount of solder. And some more flux, of course. That's a flux. So flux all the way up here. Yeah? I mean, another possibility would be to use that vacuum desoldering tool that I have to desolder some of the pins. In fact, yeah, let's also switch that on and see if that would have helped with this. Okay. So. A little bit further up the board now. It's quite difficult to get a grip on the piece you want to get hold of while getting the board into a position where you can work on it. Of course, we need a good blob of solder in here. Nice big blob of solder to work with, so it spreads the heat over a lot of pins. So let that solidify before it runs down the board. Another problem is kind of judging whereabouts you are. I'm up here somewhere. That didn't come off. I'm sure if we can get all this plastic off, then we can get these pins out without much of a problem. Problem is getting the plastic off. Let's see, can we twist it? No. I don't want to put much strain on the pins where they go into the board. Remember, the whole point of this is to remove all the pins without damaging the board itself, yeah? That's not helping a lot. Let's see if we can maybe... I'm trying to leave the long pins as well, because it'll be easier to remove if I've got long pins stuck into the board. Maybe I'm trying to do it in too big a chunk at a time. Maybe this would be better. Can we lower down? I'm certainly removing the plastic. It's not completely removing it like the first bit did, you know, but I'm still leaving some down here. I don't think this slot will work anymore. It's certainly doing these cutters no favour, but they're going to say they were scrap, so it's not really a problem. Yeah, a bit more out. Messy, but it seems to be getting us somewhere. I don't think I've actually damaged anything on the board yet, but we're not going to see that until we get all this off and get it under the microscope. Okay, that seems to work, but it's going to take us quite some time to get up there, and it's going to be messy. Let's see if this will help us at all. First of all, just stick a needle down into it just to make sure it isn't clogged up. Yeah. It's okay. It's not clogged. And secondly, let's do this in conjunction with the hot air, because I think it's going to take quite some amount of heat to do this. See if this technique Helps us. I'll tell you what, it's certainly cleaning holes. Doing it too hot. So have a look, see the results of that, see if that's a good technique. Well, certainly desoldered some of them. Some of them are still stuck in there, so it's not like you could do that all the way down the board and then you know, literally lift this thing off. That's not gonna happen. I think we are gonna have to stick with this this method of breaking the socket up bit by bit and trying to remove each piece of plastic as we go along. Okay, let's carry on with that. Right, let's see if we can actually get any more of this out. I'm too far near the end of it, Luke. I'm halfway down it, well, a quarter of the way down it, and hadn't realised I'm not up here at all. I'm sort of here somewhere. I looked around to see if I could see anybody doing this on YouTube, and I can't really. I can't see anybody, you know, who's doing this. I mean, maybe they are. Maybe I'm not searching for the right thing. Maybe I'm the only one crazy enough to have a go at this sort of thing. So what we've got. So we've got lots of pins basically, which are breaking off. Lots of bit of plastic. This would work if it's pulling the pins back out through the socket and it's not trying to rip them off the board. At the moment, I don't really know which it's doing. I'm hoping it's trying to pull the pins back through the plastic. So let's see if we can get anywhere with this just by taking the plastic out. Yeah, this might get us somewhere again. What I'll try and do now is to actually separate the pins from the plastic. Yeah. So I'm actually. So we get under the microscope. I said I probably couldn't, but let's have a look. Come on, microscope camera. Wake up. No. See if it comes on now. There we go. Troublesome, that microscope sometimes. Yeah, okay, let's have a look at this mess we're making in here now. Let's see what we've got. So what I'm trying to do here is get the pins to go inwards, yeah, and get the plastic to come off. But I don't want to rip the pins out the board. I want the pins to stay basically where they are. Yeah. I mean, there's no harm if I kind of cut them off a bit lower down. It's like, as long as the ends of the pins actually stay in the board. Obviously, it's wonderfully destructive, this, you know, but I think this is a scrap board anyway. and hopefully it's going to teach us how to do this sort of job. It's going to be a bit more scary doing this on a board that we then want to replace the socket, but unless I can find a better way, this is the way it's going to have to be done. Okay, once again we seem to have the pin stuck in, not wanting to give it up. That plastic doesn't want to give it up, does it? I think that's gonna. Yep. And so on and so forth. Maybe cutting halfway down is the answer. Maybe that will help the pins to release from the plastic. Let's try that. See if that has any assistance to this. Try another tool as well, something to sharper edge on. See if this will help us. Not wanting to come off easily, this is for sure. Maybe this is not the way. This to me seemed to be probably the best way to do this. But maybe this ain't the way, you know. Richie, maybe this ain't the way. But we're doing it. We're doing it now, aren't we? We're doing it now. Whether it's the way, whether it ain't the way, we'll do it. And if it's successful, then we know it works. If it ain't, well, we have to try something else. I don't fancy trying to unsolder this whole thing in one go. I really don't. I really do not fancy that at all. Maybe if we cut, yeah, low down water, maybe that's the way to go at it. Maybe if we cut this stuff lower down and then chop through the legs as well, maybe that'll help. Take the piece off, maybe, if it will come. Being careful I don't get it where, you know, don't get the cutters into the board. Obviously that's not what we want. Again, that's proving a bit stubborn. Oh, piece went flying. He bounced back like a boomerang, you know. I'm hoping after we've revealed all this we can actually get hold of these pins, what's left of them, and actually pull them out the board. I've lost the car. I'm sorry. I wish you could see what I was doing. I'm certainly glad I'm doing this on a board that I know scrap rather than one that I'm going to try and repair. You know, the experience helps a lot. If you know you've done it once, and even with a slightly brutal treatment, you haven't really broken anything, then that gives you plenty of confidence. If it doesn't work, we know we need to find another scrap one and find a different way to do this. That's come off. Oh, that's a good reason I'm wearing glasses, isn't it? Safety glasses, guys, when you're doing this sort of thing. If it wasn't the fact I was wearing spectacles, that would have straight into my eye. Tell you now, bounced straight off the middle of the lens of my glasses. Okay, this is now getting somewhere. All the plastic's coming off. That's nice. I think normally I would desolder these electrolytics to while I was working down here, but I say it's scraps. I don't really care. And that leaves this little bit at the end. It's like a centre bit in it. Can't see the centre bit in there. Yeah. Let's again try and break this up. This is proving a bit tough. This is hard going, guys. This is hard going. Maybe this wasn't a good idea. But In for a penny, in for a pound, as you say. Okay, that's broke that up a bit. That bit at the top end is getting really tough. So what I'm going to do is come back down here and see if we can actually do anything down here now to remove the rest of this plastic. Let's see. We'll start getting pins out. Some of the pins have fell out where I actually had the desoldering tool on. I can see that quite clearly. Some of them have just come out. Other ones are still here. I wonder if we can get these under here and low down enough to actually literally cut the pins off. Maybe that's the way to go with this. This I can actually use some decent cutters because I'm not chopping bits of plastic, you know. I'm actually going to try and just cut the legs as they go into the board. No, that isn't going in there very easily. Well, it was worth it was worth a thought. I thought I could actually get underneath here and actually start to cut. I'm not. Okay, so far we have a good mess. Just tip all the bits of plastic off the board. It doesn't look like we've actually damaged the board anywhere so far. That seems to be quite intact. It's a matter of effectively persuading this to just sort of give it up, you know. Let's see now if the hot air will actually help with that. I'm going to try kind of like wedging the edge of the blade under, yeah, and seeing if I can soften the plastic to the point where it actually just kind of like lifts. This might be a good technique. Oh, that's yeah. Now maybe we found something that kind of works. Now I think we found a technique that works. Whether this would have worked from the beginning or it's only working because it's all melting. Haha. Okay. I'm getting too hot. That's too hot. But it's coming off, yeah. I don't want it so hot it turns to liquid. That's what's kind of happening, yeah. Look, I don't want to get quite that hot. It's going to just make a big mess. But there's some more of it. Yeah, that's it. Just see if we can just effectively soften this up, yeah. Sorry, I've got off the camera. I say once we get this off, if we get a replacement, fitting the replacement shouldn't be so difficult, you know, as long as we've managed to clean all the solder out the holes. That's actually going quite well. What's happening now? And see what's happening. It's softening the plastic up, and then it's kind of hardening again and leaving it all over the board. So I need to be able to lift this off out of the way. There we are. Let's get it out. Let's get all the stuff out of the way of this. This is better now. Yeah, this is getting better. Guys, I think we found the way. I think we found the way. See, I'm not sure this would have worked unless I'd effectively broke it up first. I'm short of trying a fresh one. I don't think I'm going to find that out. I've melted this. Look what I've done to the Cmos battery holder. Fortunately, I don't really care. I'm a bit more worried about these capacitors if you're going to explode. But still, let's be cavalier about this. In fact, no. Let's remove them capacitors first. I've had these things go bang before, and I tell you now, Let's just switch over to the desktop. Yeah, I've had capacitors explode before with the hot air, and it's a bit of it's a bit scary. Okay, well, that's coming off quite nicely. I'm going to take these two caps out here, too hot to touch. That's a shame because it's the easiest way to do it. Let's try a bit of kitchen roll and just remove them. No, I have not shown you how to do this before. Okay, removing capacitors very easy. These are two. Quite simple. Bit of flux. Yeah. Good blob of solder, big chunky BC3. Good blob of solder. So we can get right across both pins at once, yeah? Then we literally get hold of the capacitor, which is not normally as hot as this one. Let's use a bit of paper kitchen roll. Get hold of the capacitor, both legs, and we just pull it out. Literally. There, she's out. You probably didn't see it, I'll show you in a minute. Go to the other one. Bit awkward just getting down that gap there. Okay, let's go for the other one. This is a good messy video, ain't it? Oh, this is fun. This is a good one. Hope I've amused a few of you. Okay, let's not miss the fingers. Bit of kitchen roll. Get all melted, and this will pull out. That's the theory, anyway. Yep, it's out. So we've now got bloody hell, it's hot. Okay, it's not quite, so it's still pretty warm, that is. We've now got a right mess all over the desk, but it looks like we're getting there, guys. It looks like we're getting there with this. So, well, shall we go back to the previous method we were using there, which was long nose pliers, heat. Ah, poor Cmos battery holder. I wouldn't like to unsolder one of these intact. You know, like if you wanted to keep the socket for another board, I wouldn't fancy that at all. Not considering the fun we've had with this. She's coming now. And chunks and lumps, it's coming. I think I need to break this last piece up a little bit. But it certainly cuts through easily. Now it's soft. Can we get that off there? So I don't want to get too hot. I don't need to get too hot. Just hot enough to melt the stuff a bit, soften it up. No, doesn't want to give that up. Go back to the little crowbar. Let's go left-handed. Let's go left-handed with the heat. This is pretty warm, this is. I don't think I need much more heat than this. Can't get the board still. Yeah, get rid of the hot air for a little bit. I'm still going to get the board itself still on. Get this off. Now it's gone too hard again to do. There's no legs on that bit, so that can come off. Come on, we're so close to that. We're so close now. We got to get this, haven't we? It's got to come off now. There's not much left, yeah. Come on. Yep. Bit left. Let's have this last bit. It's getting too hot to get my hands down here. I've got that a bit warm, guys. Well, it's the first time for everything. It's the first time for this, for me. That was me worried about those capacitors. Stay to that battery holder. Okay. Now let's try the little crowbar underneath that. Remaining bit of plastic. Let's see if we can persuade it to come off. That's looking promising. Okay. Well, that's basically got all the plastic off and a lot of the pins. Okay, so we've had some fun with that. Let's put it under the microscope now and see what sort of condition all these pins are in. Yeah, whether we did just destroy anything. Let's see what we've got. Is there anything we can actually work with now? One moment. Let's go over to the microscope cam. There we go. Yes, that's what we're left with. Focusing, a bit of focus would be good, wouldn't it? A bit of focus, there you go. That's what you're left with. No rip pads. That's don't see any rip pads. Cmos battery. That's fun. Okay. Yeah, so all the pins that are still left in there seem to be in a reasonably good condition. So what we'll try and do now, let's now we've had our fun, let's see if we can actually make a good job of this, yeah? And remove all the pins and clean them up and end up with something we can actually use, you know, a board that we can actually fit a new socket on. I think. So I think it's maybe easier. I'm not sure if it'd be easier from this side or the other side. Let's have a go. I'm thinking if we just get the long nose pliers, and we can like effectively warm up each of these legs, we should be able to get them out. These should come out quite easily now. I'm going to get my eyes into the microscope lenses, so let's see what I'm doing. Okay, a bit of flux is going to be good. What I'm going to do is try and remove all the pins that are still stuck in. A lot of them up here. And once we've removed all the pins that are stuck in, we'll try the solder sucker from the other side, and we'll try to actually clean the holes. Yeah. Well, strange though it seems, this looks like it's probably going to work. Okay. Well, they're in 2 rows, aren't they? That's fun. No, that one's not going to come out easily. Let's try the ones on this side first. Back to get the heat in. I thought these now would just fall out of the board, and that's not the case. I literally thought those would just literally fall out, and it ain't happening. Could try that with hot air. Well, I'm very surprised at that. So let's give it the same method as hot air. So we'll just kind of like grab hold of the pin we want, yeah. Nah, it's not wanting to give that up either. Not easily. And if we're going to do that, we're just going to rip tracks and wires out the board. Okay. Let's go back to the other camera. I can't easily do this on this one. Okay, so that didn't work too well. Well, it did and it didn't. I think next thing now is let's see if we can actually go back to what we were doing before, which was using the hot air and the solder sucker, yeah? I'm very surprised, very surprised. Very surprised the hot air or the soldering iron couldn't get a pin out of there. Really. Before I do that, let's put some leaded solder all the way down this. See the state of my desk now. You know I hate my desk getting messy. You know I hate that. Flux. So this is basically just going to add leaded solder to each of the holes, pins, whatever you want to do left there. This effectively is going to reduce the melting point of that lot. Not bothered if I'm getting big blobs of it everywhere, it doesn't make any difference. I just want to try and add leaded. There's obviously some very heavy ground planes in the board in this area. That big blob of solder, and I'm just walking that around down the board. Again, back up this side. Such a big blob doesn't even want to go off the board. It's coming bit by bit. Missed it. Well, it landed on the back of the CPU socket plate there, but it won't do any on there. Soon come off there anyway. Off you go. Off my board. Go. That's gone. Okay. Still a few bits of it left. Why am I messing with this? It doesn't matter. It's a scrap board, yeah? Right. Let's see now if we can use the hot air plus the desoldering tool and clean some more of these out. Nope, that's not going to do it. Not easily. Not easily. So, how are we going to get all the remaining pins out of this? How are we going to get all these pins out of this? I'm sure we're doing the right way, you know, because if we try to heat up that entire socket from the back, even with a preheater, to lift the whole thing out, all we will end up with is one big gooey mess, yeah? Just have to clear some of this crap off the desk. So that wouldn't have worked. So we're now stuck with the problem of removing these pins out of this board. If we get the pins out, we can clean it up and then we can clean the holes. The solder sucker will then do its job. Oh, come on, camera. Where are you, microscope? There we go. So how are we going to fix this lot? I'm sure we should be able to pull these out. maybe it's because the along those pliers I was trying to use was effectively, you know, acting as too much of a heat sink, so I couldn't get enough heat into the pin because it was sinking into the pliers. So let's have a look to see if we can do this way with tweezers. Yeah. This time we get a good blob of solder on here now. Good blob of solder on the end of the iron. Some tweezers. And will it come out? Yeah, it did eventually. God, that took some doing. That was surprising. That was surprisingly difficult to unsolder. I'd love to hear from many guys who have done this before as to maybe a better method to do this, you know, or if it's just one of those that is just really not an easy job to do at all. They're coming out now. Not easily though, you know. So you're going to take some time to do this. You'd think that would get so much heat into that it would have to come out. It's unbelievable that's not. It's out, but oh god, the effort that takes. Out. This rib seems to be just a little bit easier to get than the other one. If you look on some forums on the internet, people have said about doing this, and other people said you're crazy. You're mad. You'll never. It's impossible. It's impossible, they say, to do this. All I would say to that is the person who says it's impossible should never interrupt the one who's doing it. Yeah? He who says it's impossible should never interrupt the one who's doing it. This is not impossible. This is not impossible. This is just time consuming and fiddly. That's the best way. But you know, when we do this with fairly basic equipment, what we use? We use hot air. We've used a soldering iron, some solder, some flux tweezers, some basic hand tools. Not anything overly involved in doing this. A bit of patience. Yeah. It's a bit odd actually in this microscope to actually see the ones where the pins are, with them sort of sticking directly upwards. It's a little bit difficult to see them. I'm going to come back at those. Some of it's like the solder, like the legs leaning that way, yeah. And I need to get the solder in from the other side, quite probably. Let's see if we can do that. Whether we can actually just kind of like feed a bit of solder from this end. See how much heat that's taken just to get that into the board. I'm not always the best with my left hand either, excuse me. That's gone all horrible now. That one's more flux on there. You can see the solder's gone all yuck. Out and so on. I think, to be honest guys, I'm going to continue with this. I'm going to stop the video now because this is looks like it's a job that's going to take me at least a couple of hours to do this, but you can see the technique, and I'll carry on. I'll come back when we've got the rest of them out and see if we've got a board that we can now use to fit a new socket. Guys, I had a little play around with this, and I'm kind of tried a couple of things, but what I've done is now I put the thermocouple on here, and I have the board at about 108 degrees centigrade, and the reason I've done that is because I was struggling to remove these pins from this socket that we broke up, but now I've done that, I'm finding that I can actually get these out quite easily actually. You can see they're coming out of the board without any struggling. So this is a fairly simple matter now to extract these pins. Into the solids. See. And they just come off the board, no problem at all. So I know the camera's not focusing too well on this, so I'll carry on with that. And then we can come back when I've just pulled the rest of the pins. You can see how I'm doing it. It's quite simple now, and we'll see what happens after I've removed all those. See you soon. Okay, so basically I left this on the preheater. Another thing I did, by the way, was removed all the metal fittings from the CPU socket before I had it on the preheater, and the metal plate that goes on the back. I should have done that in the first place because, to be quite honest, they're going to sink quite a lot of heat, and we want as much heat into the job as possible. And then I just took the stiff brush and cleaned this up with isopropyl. I've removed the pins. I know there's some broken pins still in there, but I've removed all the long pins. Removed the Cmos battery. The only thing that didn't really survive this, by the looks of it, the Cmos battery holder. Should have took that off first. And one edge of the plastic that holds the back plate on, which was near to this, so they took that off first. Lessons learned. But all the other PCIe's, they survived. Doesn't seem to be any damage. Anything else melted. Let's have a go under the microscope and see how that's looking now. Let's see. If I get if my microscope cam's working. Is it working? Yeah, for once it is. Okay, let's have a look then to see the results of our work so far. Okay, there we go. A bit of focus on that. So this is where we've removed the PCIe 16 times socket, and this is after just cleaning up with a stiff brush. This brush, I was thinking, I've used this a lot, and I don't remember where I even got this from. I think it came in like a kit of tools for mobile phone repair or something like that, although I don't actually repair mobile phones. I got a kit thinking it was a good idea, I've never really used it. But if you can't find something like this, I suggest a stiff toothbrush. Yeah, get the stiffest toothbrush you can find. That'll do the job just as well. So yeah, we have some broken pins in here quite clearly. You can see here. Let's get this crap off the knife thing here. Yeah, we can clearly see like one there that's still in the board. Yeah, so it might be worth me going back over this again, just with the preheater on again and the soldering iron, and just try to remove some of these broken ones. Another one there, another one there. But the board itself's looking good, you know. I mean, all those fine traces, that's just plastic, you know, where we melted the plastic part of the socket. But all these fine traces are looking good. There's no lifted pads, that's good. So really, I think the thing now that remains with this is going to be to get rid of these remaining bits of pins, lift them out. Same technique as before. Then I'm going to use the preheater and I'm going to use the soldering iron. The preheater is the one you've seen on other videos. I'll show you again in a minute. It's the Carder 853B. It cost me about 35–40 euros with postage. I mean, they're cheap, or they were. I mean, I haven't looked at prices recently, but I don't suspect they've gone up much in price. That thing, you know, it's worth its weight in gold. It's you saw of the previously, I couldn't get these pins out the board. I just couldn't, even when I broke them all the plastic away. Once I used that preheater, got the board up to about 100 degrees or so, they were coming out fine. Let's see if we can focus on the back of this. Let's see what we've got here. Yeah. So again, the reverse of it, all the pads are intact. Nothing's ripped off. That's nice. I want the holes look like there's no pins coming through them anymore, so they should come off with the desoldering on the vacuum one. In fact, actually, I think what I might do is try and desolder all these holes now, see how many have got pins left in them, and then if I'm struggling, I'll just take those pins out. I'm going to put it back on the preheater to use with the desoldering gun, because it obviously did a very, very good job. Trying to think whether I might be best, yeah, putting the preheater underneath and yeah, putting the preheater under the board. Let's go back to the desk, eh? Well, that's looking pretty good. I think you'll agree with that, considering the brutal way we move that thing. Okay, let's go over to the desk. So yeah, can't wait for my new desk cam to come. It's got a variable focal lens on, manually focusing, and it's like a zoom lens. I think it's like 20mm. Was it 5mm to 50mm? It's like a proper camera lens on a webcam, basically. A C-mount camera, actually, not a webcam. Can't wait for that to turn up. We'll be able to do these much better. But yeah, what I was saying is, I think I'll use a preheater and warm it up from the back, and then get the desoldering gun, the vacuum one, and see if I can clear holes. So this is that preheater, if you've not seen it on the previous videos. Carder 853B, very cheap, just blows hot air up here. Variable temperature knob on front with settings that don't really mean a great deal. So I use a thermocouple so I can see what it's doing. So yeah, let's try it. Let's see if we can remove the solder. I'm still debating which way up to do this. Whether to put it that way on the board. It won't fit easily on the preheater that way, but I think it's going to be easier from this side. Okay, I'll warm it all up and I'll see you in a few minutes. Okay, after debating with myself for a minute or two off camera there, I decided that it wasn't very comfortable to put this upside down like this on the preheater. So I thought, well, let's go with a slightly different method, and we'll use the hot air together with the desoldering gun, yeah. It's easier for me to work like this and much easier for me to get the camera on the job as well, to be honest. So what I'm going to do is first I'm just going to add a bit of leaded solder to all of the pins, the holes, if there's pins in them, if there's no pins in them. So they're either holes or they're broken off pins that are left here, yeah? I'm going to put a bit of leaded solder, and I'm going to do this. It kind of like when I put the desoldering gun on it, it gives it something to kind of bed into, if you see what I mean. You notice I'm doing this without flux, and the reason I'm doing it without flux this time is because the flux really does clog that vacuum tool up, and it's a hassle. I mean, yes, you can clean it back out, but you know, in this case, why make life more difficult than you need to? Okay, so I've got the hot air, and I've set it to 150, I think, 200, 150. So I've set the hot air going to 150 now. I'm going to warm around the board first, get it warm. Then we're going to try and suck out the solder from all these holes. See how we get on with the ones with the broken pins, because obviously to fit a new PCIe socket, this lot's got to go. These have got to be cleared, yeah. Yeah, let's see if this will actually do the job for us. That one was good. It's going to take some time because obviously there's a lot of holes, you know. Certainly the ones with no pins stuck in them, with no broken off bits of pin, they come off very nicely. The ones with broken pins, I think, are going to be, we're going to have to extract them first. Okay, so once again, this is going to be quite time consuming. So I won't make you guys sit and watch while I do that. That could take me, I don't know, let's see. So we'll pause the video there, and then we can continue after I've done that time consuming job. So in the end, yeah, I tried that with the hot air in one hand and the desoldering of it. Well, still wasn't going to do it. So I then thought, let's have a go from the top side. So I've put it back onto the preheater and using the desoldering gun, and there might be one or two clogs up now, but I've pretty much got them all out. I thought now we'd actually have a look to see what we have, to see if we can call this a success, really. So yeah, let's get the microscope again and let's have a look what we have now. Okay, so that's the CPU socket. There we are. This is our board. I can see one or two still clogged. I can see a couple of bent wires as well. That one's there, obviously still stuck in. I've lost a capacitor here, but that wouldn't be a problem. This one's damaged from the desoldering gun, and there's still something stuck in it. Bit of a pin. But all the ones that have tracks going to them, I mean, you can see whether there's a track going to a hole or not on this side of the board, yeah. And all the ones that actually have tracks going to them look to be good. Let's have a look along here and see. Yeah. So I mean, there's a clogged one which we can deal with. Not really a problem to deal with that. The same as I dealt with the others. That looks like another one might have something stuck in it just there, but again we can go back on that one. Yeah, another clogged one. That might just be flux in that one. Yeah, a couple more that haven't desoldered. another dislodged capacitor or two. A couple more clogged in. And they're clean. Okay, so I mean, this is an experiment. You know, the whole point of this is can we replace a PCIe socket without damaging the board? And I'd kind of say, yeah, possibly. There may be another way to do this. The way I went at it, if you're lucky, I think if we're lucky, we haven't actually lifted any pads that are important. I mean, I can't see any looking at this where I can say for sure that the track goes through a hole. Let me just clean this up. I'm just going to pause it 1 minute. Just clean this up with a bit of ice so we can get a better look. Okay, I've cleaned it up. Just got the flux off both sides. Now we can have a proper look at this and see what damage have we done, basically. So yeah, we have this end one has lost the pad, but you can see inside that the via that runs through the board is still there. There's still something stuck in it. If the other side of the board's okay on that one, let's have a quick look. Let's just focus this up. Let's see if we can find the other side. That's this end one. Yeah, so this side. Let's have a quick look actually. See if there's any ripped vias off or pads off this side. Probably isn't, because this side has not had that desoldering tool on. I see if you look like they might just be clogged up with flux. Let's have a look. Where are we? For instance, yeah, this is just a very thin resistor leg. I'm sure I saw a clogged one there. Yeah, that's got solder in it. Let's have a look. Yeah, that's got a pin in it. Yes, there's a few that are still clogged with a bit of solder, but not many. Those ones are certainly yeah, it's got solder in it. I'm trying to push the leg of this resistor through the hole. If I can't. What's this one? That was more like. No, it's got a leg stuck in it. Yeah, there's a few with solder in them. These ones I could probably now, because I don't really want to go back over the other side again with more heat. The pads are getting a bit tired. The few that are clogged, I would probably now just try and desolder them from this side of the board. But there's not many. That's the good. Okay, let's go back to the side again now and see whether we've successfully done this or not. Focus off this one. There we go. Right, so there's no ripped off pads on the other side. So as long as we can see like the via still inside it, that's like the collar that runs through the hole, yeah, which could well connect to it. In fact, sure, it does connect to internal layers. Then I don't think there'll be a problem. You know, one of these little rings missing off this side. As long as there's one of these little rings, as long as there's no trace going to it, that isn't going to be a problem, I would say. Just try to focus again. Okay. So we know one or two are clogged. Yeah, we've obviously lost a few capacitors along this edge, but that's not going to be a problem to replace them. I think I've broken one there by the looks of it. Anyway, back to these holes. So these are looking good. Pin stuck in. Solder in one here. Yeah. Huh. Oh yeah, that's a pin. It just bent over. I'd have to straighten that up before we can remove that one. Same thing here. Just solder stuck in the holes. A bit more solder in holes. But I don't see any broken ones. I'd have to have a little look at this. I think that's just a bit of effectively sort of scraped, maybe, or a bit of gunk on it. Let's see what that is. See if that's something that just comes off or not. Where is it? It's here somewhere. Yeah, I think what I'd do here, I'd take the test meter from each of these and follow the tracks to see where they actually go, yeah? To the other end. It goes into the processor, so that's not quite so easy. I'd probably, what I'd do with this is just scrape a little bit of the green, like whatever it is, you coat these boards with, I can't know what it's called now. This green stuff, I'd scrape a little bit off down these. I can get a meter probe there and one to the hole and just check to make sure I've got a connection there. But I wouldn't like to try and fix that if I haven't, but I don't think that's a problem. Should we have a look? Let's have a look while I'm at it. Why not? Let's just see whether you'll hear this. You'll hear the bleep if it's good. Yeah. So where are we? We have. I'm left-handed here. We have that one. Yeah. I'm going to get down the microscope. It's easier, a lot easier for me to look down the microscope at this. So that's there, and that goes to this trace here. Right, you see where a little bit scraped off there. I've got a connection, that one, yeah. And the other one's here. Etch resist or something. It's called something like that. It's green stuff they put on the board. You can always put like a bit of nail varnish on, you know, after you've done this. If you've just had to scrape a track a little bit to get see if you've got a connection. Afterwards, get a little bit of nail varnish and just cover it where you've done that. I can't get through that easily. Through the microscope, that looks okay though. This does look okay. From the pin. Can't get a connection on that. Maybe that one. That's good. I'm pretty sure this one's good as well. It's just I can't get the contact onto the trace to see. Sometimes you have to do this. You know, you have to scrape away the trace a little bit just to. And I've got a wider field of vision than you, so I'm off the lens view. Sorry about that. Find something I can do it with if I can. Not that. Try this. I've got a bit now. Can you see where I've just scraped a little bit of the stuff off there? Not enough to damage the trace at all, but just enough to get a contact. Yeah, that's good. So yeah, sometimes you have to do that sort of thing. And it's worth doing. Do it now to be sure. So yeah, so they all look good. So what's the verdict? Well, yeah, it's the first attempt. Okay, this is the first attempt, and I suspect with a little bit of practice on a few, you know, next time I see a scrap board, I'm going to try this again. Maybe I'll make the video again. But it's doable. It's definitely doable by this method. I mean, maybe there's a better way. Would I buy high value like gaming motherboards with burnt out PCIe slots? You know, where it's obviously the power ends where it's burnt out. Jury's out on that one. I know now what this job entails. I certainly didn't buy the one that went through auction yesterday, actually. So I was a bit dubious about it. Yeah, I think if I could get a board cheap enough and it was worth enough, then I probably would. Whether I could successfully do it, I think I could. I think you can do this. I think I can do this. And if I can do this, I think you can do this. So okay, guys. I think that was quite an interesting video. As I say, it was just a practice run. I'd like to hear your comments. Get your comments down below the video. Is there a better way to do this that you know of? And what do you think of the way that we did it? Yeah, let's chat soon. See you now.